In the world of military blunders, few can compare to the strange and almost comical event took place in 1801, when Britain, yes, Britain, the naval superpower, accidentally invaded Spain. How does one accidentally invade a neighboring country? Well, grab a cup of tea and prepare yourself for a tale of confusion, miscommunication, and a naval embarrassment that still baffles historians. To understand how this bizarre mistake came to be, we have to set the stage. In 1801, Europe was in turmoil. Britain was locked in a bitter conflict with revolutionary France, led by none other than Napoleon Bonaparte. As the French expanded their influence across Europe, Britain, along with its allies, was fighting tooth and nail to stop the spread of French dominance. The Royal Navy was key to Britain's defense strategy. Command of the seas was critical to ensuring Napoleon couldn't launch an invasion of Britain itself. This was no time for the British Navy to make mistakes. But as we'll soon see, that's exactly what happened. Britain's main goal in the Mediterranean was to secure the island of Minorca. It was a strategic location that allowed Britain to control key shipping routes and keep an eye on Napoleon's forces in southern Europe. As part of this strategy, a British fleet was dispatched to the Mediterranean under Admiral Sir James Balmarres. But as the fleet sailed through the Mediterranean, an astonishing misunderstanding was about to unfold. What the British believed was a military operation quickly turned into one of the most embarrassing naval blunders in their history. Confusion started with faulty intelligence. Admiral Saumarez received orders that were meant to lead the British fleet into battle against French forces in the area. However, those orders were either misinterpreted or, due to poor communication, the fleet's destination was completely misunderstood. The fleet believed they were sailing toward a French-controlled port, ready to engage the enemy. But there was one major problem. They had sailed toward Cadiz, a Spanish city. Spain, by this time, was not officially at war with Britain, and was actually in a period of tense neutrality. Picture the scene. The British fleet, expecting a battle with the French, sails into Cadiz, guns ready. Meanwhile, the Spanish, who had no idea they were about to be invaded, watched in shock. They weren't preparing for war, they were just going about their business. Realizing their error, the British were understandably embarrassed. Rather than launching an attack, they had accidentally landed in a neutral territory and caused an international incident. Local Spanish authorities were baffled, unsure whether this was an actual invasion or just a huge mistake. The situation quickly escalated into a diplomatic crisis. Spain was furious at the breach of its sovereignty, and tensions between the two nations soared. Spain, which had been on the verge of allying with France, now had every reason to side with Napoleon after this embarrassing invasion. Back in Britain, the government scrambled to defuse the situation. Apologies were issued, and attempts were made to convince Spain that this was a genuine mistake. But the damage had already been done. Spain's neutrality was now in question, and Britain's reputation took a serious hit. After the incident, the British fleet quietly withdrew from Cadiz, hoping to put the embarrassing episode behind them. But the damage to Anglo-Spanish relations was long-lasting. Spain eventually formed an alliance with France, and Britain's war with Napoleon continued on even shakier ground. While the accidental invasion may seem like a minor incident, it had far-reaching consequences. It strained Britain's relationships in Europe, at a time when they desperately needed allies. It also highlighted the importance of accurate intelligence and communication, two things that, when lacking, can lead to historical blunders like this one. What can we learn from this bizarre episode in history? For one, even the most powerful nations can make mistakes, sometimes with hilarious and embarrassing consequences. But more importantly, it's a reminder that even small blunders can ripple out to have major political and military consequences. Cadiz stands today as a reminder of that one time Britain accidentally invaded Spain. Footnote in history, but one that almost set off a much larger conflict. So the next time someone tells you history is boring, just remind them of the time the world's greatest navy accidentally tried to invade the wrong country. Subscribe for more fascinating stories from history's stranger side.